The video you just watched is called Pig. The title is just the word pig. While it's not the most creative title ever, the video itself is eerie to say the least. On the surface, it just looks like another basic horror video for the sake of being unsettling. But if we take a deeper look at the video and the channel that uploaded it, there's actually a hidden mystery to be uncovered about players going missing in a terrifying way. This is the channel that uploaded the video, with a basic profile picture and banner and a description that says, like it's 2018. Welcome to Snapshot Minecraft. My IGN is Snapshot MCYT if you were wondering. So, now that we know a little bit about the channel, let's start with Start, the first public video uploaded by the channel on March 28th, 2024. Right away, things aren't adding up. The channel Snapshot Minecraft is playing a regular version of the game, a version released in late 2023. Both of these things go against the channel's name and description. On top of that, the channel has a completely empty home and live page, which means at some point a bunch of content was deleted. However, it's not yet clear what actually happened, so let's examine the channel's content to see if it has the answers. If we continue through the first video, nothing of interest happens until the 1 minute and 34 second mark, when there's an abrupt cut while the player is punching. Videos have cuts, of course, but this one seems incredibly odd, beginning and ending at seemingly random points. However, if we keep watching, we find the answer to what caused it. These 3 chickens. At first glance, they seem pretty normal, but notice how all of them are facing the exact same direction with no signs of movement. Later in the video, they're still stuck facing the same exact direction, so clearly these 3 mobs are glitched in some way, and that theory is confirmed when the player walks past them, causing this to happen. As we can see, the audio and video were heavily distorted. However, why these 3 chickens are causing the player's video to become heavily glitched is unknown right now, but it's clear that they're the culprits. It's not yet clear what the significance of these mobs are, but because they're an important feature of the video, we'll keep them in mind whilst moving forward. Weird Farm, the second video on the channel, uploaded on March 31st, 3 days after the first video. Like Start, this video begins pretty normal, up until the player goes to get some pork from a pig farm they built. Upon getting near the fences, the player starts hearing a periodic piglet oink, happening about once every quarter of a second. Understandably confused, they go to investigate, and they find a piglet stuck in place just like the chickens from the previous video. So now we have 2 instances of mobs glitching out and being stuck in place. The player tries to get the piglet to move by punching it, but that causes the game to crash. However, if we look at the last few frames of the video, we can see some useful crash information. In the bottom right corner, we can see the text, "Failed to render entity pig, age -2614. In the top left, we see the text, "Fatal error, unknown entity, entity mob 0. On top of that, in the description of the video, we can see a console entry that reads, "Entity mob pig return null, entity unknown loaded, entity unknown unloaded, server close." So it appears that the unknown entity is called mob 0, which means that whatever that is loaded in during the brief window between the player punching the pig and the server crashing. So whatever it is was probably the reason for the crash. So what is mob 0? Well, for now it's not very clear. However, what we know so far is that it has some kind of power over entities. Its name is interesting as well, as even before numeric IDs were replaced by namespace IDs, they started at 1, not 0, implying that mob 0 is some kind of corrupted entity. So we have 2 instances of mobs being glitched and the supposed name of the entity doing it. It's not enough to figure out what exactly is going on, but we're definitely making progress. Cave, the third video on the channel, uploaded on April 5th, 5 days after the second. This video starts off with the player mining into a deep slate cave, and after walking around for a few seconds, this sound starts playing. The sound you're hearing is cavechimes.ogg, an unused ambient noise from early 2011. As the player walks deeper, the sound gets louder, and as he makes his way through the cave, he finds the source of the noise, a block covered in this texture of Steve's face. It's strangely unsettling, but before the player gets a chance to investigate, they're interrupted by this noise. After that, they appear to tab out or close the game, leaving us with this image, which appears to be the silhouette of an entity. If we brighten the image, we can see a player model with a severely disfigured Steve face. However, everything else is too blurry to discern. This, without a doubt, is Mob 0. But what is it and what does it want? Why is it glitching entities and making strange noises? The sound at the end of the video was likely Mob Zero breathing, however the sound's origins are unclear. It appears to be cave33.ogg from this YouTube video claiming it's a new cave sound. However, I couldn't find any official sources for this. Either way, Mob Zero is so far solely using presumably abandoned sounds in its actions, as well as glitching out mobs and blocks. We also at least know slightly what Mob Zero looks like. Other than that, there isn't really any information to gather from this video, so let's move on to the halfway point, video 4. Simply titled Cow, this video was uploaded on April 6th, just one day after the previous video. Like always, the video starts pretty normal, with the player simply gathering some wood when he notices something odd. Yet another glitched mob, this time a cow. However, unlike the previous glitched mobs, this one isn't stuck facing one direction, it's stuck facing his direction. Obviously, mobs look at you sometimes, that's no mystery, but this cow is stuck facing the player, on top of the fact that it's the middle of the night and passive mobs shouldn't even be able to spawn. Morbid curiosity gets the better of the player and they go to investigate, testing to see if the cow will ever break eye contact, but it never does. Like the piglet, he decides to simply resort to punching the mob to get it to stop. But just like before, this is when everything goes wrong. Punching the cow sends him flying into the ocean, and as his vision darkens in the cold depths of the sea, we hear this unsettling bellow. The sound glitches the screen and the player panics and quits the game. So we have yet another glitched mob, this time with different behavior than the other two instances, as well as another instance of the game sounds being used in an eerie way. But what was the sound? Well, it's hard to say, but the sound file used is dark4.ogg, an underwater ambient noise that is referred to as ultra rare when played using commands. So either Mob Zero was using this sound or it was just a major coincidence, however I highly doubt that. In the description we also have something. At first glance, it simply looks like a jumbled mess of text. However, it's actually written in the standard galactic alphabet, also known as enchanting table language. When translated, it reads, "It marks the spot." It could be whatever made the sound in the water, or it could be Mob Zero. However, I highly doubt this text is here just for fun, so keep it in mind for now. But hold on, let's go back to when the video was glitching out. There's something on the screen for a single frame. It appears to be the default Minecraft font, and could be a lot of different things. The first letter is undoubtedly a U, however the second symbol isn't as clear. It could say US, U9, U5, or U6. It's hard to say for sure. Regardless, none of these really mean anything. U9, U5, and U6 could be codes of some kind, or US could be a cryptic message, however both of these possibilities don't seem to mean anything. So for now, this information isn't useful. However, like the enchanting table text from the description, it's no accident that it's here, so keep it in mind, because we'll likely have to come back to it later. Video 5, titled Chicki-Chicki Chicken, the goofiest video title by far, uploaded on April 14th, 8 days after video 4. This video's quality is noticeably degraded, which means that the events from last video caused permanent damage to the game or MP4 file, the events from this video will cause the damage, or Mob Zero corrupted the file itself. It's hard to be sure. Other than that, the video is normal up until the player walks into their house, and we see two things. First, a chicken textured block, and once again we see Mob Zero, this time hiding in a window behind a door. It's hard to see much, but what we can see is significantly more visible than the cave video. Its body is still obscured, however its face is significantly more visible. Once again we see the disfigured Steve face, but also what appears to be a stitch, as well as pig skin on the corners of its head. A gruesome possibility is that this isn't what Mob Zero really looks like. Based on the strange assortment of colors and the fact that his face appears to be falling off, this could be a suit made of its victim's skin, stitched together to hide his true identity. However, the player never actually sees Mob Zero lurking in the window, and focuses entirely on the chicken block. They rummage through their chests and furnaces, presumably searching for anything stolen, as someone, or something, has clearly been in their house. After finding nothing missing, they turn their attention back to the chicken block. He decides to try and break it, and a second after doing so, an absolute ton of chickens appear, lagging the game and dropping the frame rate. After a few seconds, the video ends, presumably due to the chickens lagging the player's device. So now we have another perspective on Mob Zero's appearance, as well as another instance of a strangely textured block being used. However, the next video is by far the strangest of them all. The second to last video is Pig, uploaded on April 15th, one day after the chicken video. The video quality appears to be worse than the previous video, and unlike the previous video, also has degraded audio quality. For the first 25 seconds, nothing out of the ordinary happens. However, at around 30 seconds into the video, the player notices yet another glitched pig, this time an adult. It's stuck facing a singular direction, and for the next 30 seconds, they appear to be trying to figure out what the pig could be looking at. After not finding anything, they decide to just kill the glitched pig to fix the issue, and that's when things take a dark turn. After the pig dies, everything goes dark, and every block in the world is replaced by this strange pig block, and we hear noises that sound like breathing. These two sounds are Cave 31 and Cave 32, from the same YouTube upload as the Cave 33 sound from video 3. The player stumbles around for a while, understandably confused by what's happening, and then the screen starts glitching as they walk straight into Mob 0, and Cave 30.ogg plays. After that, the video ends, but for the last few seconds we get to see a full body image of Mob 0. However, due to how incredibly corrupted the video has become by this point, it's impossible to discern any details we haven't already seen. A second before this, we can also see some text on the screen, but it seems to be meaningless gibberish, reading Doha Puz Sloma. It seems to mean nothing. However, the capitalization and punctuation would suggest it's not just gibberish. It appears to be text encoded by a Caesar cipher, which is a very basic encryption method that works by moving letters up or down through the alphabet. Using the brute force method, I found that when encoded down 7 or up 21, it reads, "What is left?" At first, it seems like some kind of cryptic message. However, it's actually very simple. If we take the message seriously, there's literally some text on the bottom left side of the screen that's hard to notice without a hint. This text is a bit more confusing though, as it never seems to be readable when decoded by a Caesar cipher. The closest thing you can get to a word is shifting it up 10, but even then it's just easy to pronounce, not an actual word. What the text could mean isn't yet clear, but it wouldn't be here for no reason, so we'll keep it in mind for now. We also have 3 more instances of sound manipulation, 1 instance of a glitched mob, and another appearance of Mob 0 itself. This video has by far been the most important. However, the next and final video will hopefully answer our remaining questions. As usual, the video starts off normal, but the video and audio quality are even worse than before, which means whatever is causing it is getting worse. For the first minute and a half, nothing out of the ordinary happens until the player goes to get wood, and we see a very unsettling block. If you remember in the first video, we briefly see the player's skin, and now their face is plastered onto this singular block, just like the Steve block from video 3. They stare at it, trying to figure out how it got there, and then we hear another breathing sound, this time being breath.ogg, an unused sound that was intended to be used when the player resurfaces. They look around to find the source before the screen abruptly glitches out and the player is killed. The death message here is by far the most confusing thing so far. It's hard to see, but it says building up _ was slain by Mob 0. But who's building up? In the channel description it stated that the player's name is supposed to be Snapshot MCYT, so what's going on? The description of the video will hopefully give us some answers. Console entry 7. Entity Mob 0 loaded. Player building up killed. Fatal error, failed to load player building up. Server closed failed. SaveData.pdk loaded. Error, world contains corrupted save data. Server close, and then some enchanting table text. When translated to English, it simply says mine. But how is that sent after the server closed? Well, this text is probably Mob 0 speaking. Because it seems to have some control over the game files, it likely inserted this into the console after the server had shut down. Mob 0 saying mine is probably in reference to building up. So why is Mob 0 stealing a player? And why is it corrupting worlds and save files? That's the problem. None of these videos answer any of those questions, but why? Was this entire channel just a wild goose chase? Not at all. Think back to all of the various bits of text that have been appearing in these videos. Those didn't show up by accident, so there's something here, we just need to figure out what it is. Even in this video, there's hidden text right before the player dies. It's incredibly glitchy, but if we stitch together the frames, we can partially see what it says. Console something null, string D unknown, string P K known. This is probably referring to the save data in the description, as it's called savedata.pdk. But what the significance of the letter D not being known means isn't yet clear. But that's all the information this video gives us, which means whatever all of this is left for us to figure out. All of these things are clues to what Mob 0's behavior patterns are, so we can ignore those for now. However, all of these random placements of text must be used for something, so that's what we need to figure out. Let's go back to video 2, where the first bit of text appears. Everything is coherent, nothing is out of place, except for this number. So far, everything in these videos has been deliberate. Nothing has been on accident. So why would this be? The number 2614 on its own doesn't really mean anything, but with the context of the rest of the text from the other videos, I assume some meaning will show up. The next video with arbitrary text in it is video 4, cow. In the water, we see some backwards text, which I assume to be something like U9, U5, or U6. But after looking at this for a while, I realized something. The letters themselves aren't backwards. The entire thing is backwards. If we flip all of it backwards rather than the individual characters, it's very clearly 9U, not anything else. What this is supposed to mean isn't yet clear. However, I would assume that we're forming some sort of code or encrypted message, as I'm not really sure what else a random combination of letters and numbers would be used for. With that in mind, we can move on to the text found in video 6, pig. At the end of the video, we can see MQCE in the bottom corner of the screen. If we run this through the same Caesar cipher as the text on the top right corner, we end up with FJVX. It could be a cipher higher or lower than 7, however it's too early to know, so for now we'll move ahead with these two possibilities. Us is the last video with any seemingly random text, saying that string D is unknown and string P and K are known in a console error. This refers to the save data in the description, called savedata.pdk. If we take the console error seriously, we're left with the letters PK, the final part of the code. So if we assemble everything in chronological order, we're left with 26149UFJVXPK. Basically just a line of gibberish. However, it looks like an ID for a link. Being 12 characters long, it's probably supposed to be a YouTube link, as those are 11 characters long. Based on the fact that every bit of information provided so far has been through YouTube videos, it's safe to bet that whatever we're forming is probably a YouTube video ID. But how do we turn this into an 11 character ID? Clearly, something is supposed to be shortened here, but what? The only possibility is the number 2614, as it could be a code for letters, corresponding to the alphabet. If we do it number by number, we get BFAD, but if we do that, we're still left with 12 characters, so it must be 2 multiple digit letters like Z or Y, rather than 4 single digit letters. If we use that method, we get Z and N, but now we run into another problem. Instead of being 1 character over the YouTube ID length, we're 1 character under. So somewhere along the line we missed something. I tried using other combinations of 1 2-digit letter and 2 1-digit letters, but none of those worked as YouTube IDs. And obviously there is no 61st letter of the alphabet, so this can't be it either. So something is missing, but what haven't we gone over yet? All of this stuff is used to determine the behavior of Mob 0, and we've already used all of this information. The only thing we haven't figured out is a description from video 4. It marks the spot. While I initially thought this was a meaningless line about the creature that made the sound in the cow video, considering this is the only piece of information we have left to solve the ID, it must mean something. If this is meant to be about a video ID and not a sea monster, then what is it? What marks the spot? X. X marks the spot. It's such a stupidly simple answer to what we need that it's almost smart. So if we take that into account and put it in chronological order to how the information is given in the videos, it could either be ZN9UXFJVXPK or ZNX9UFJVXPK. Whether the X is capitalized or not will have to be a guess, but for now we've narrowed it down to 4 possibilities. After trying them all, this ID leads us to an unlisted video, uploaded by Snapshot Minecraft on March 24th, 2024. Titled Gone. This is that video. As we can see, Building Up had his face stolen from his body, now used by Mob 0 as a disguise to lure its victims to the same fate, confirming my theory from before. The sound we hear is Mood 9, an ambient noise from warped forests, sometimes called Found. The title of the video suggests that the player is literally gone, and after searching for an account named Building Up, nothing was found. Mob 0 has not only stolen the face of the player, but erased his existence entirely. I also searched for an account named Snapshot MCYT, and to my surprise, that player doesn't exist either. Snapshot Minecraft was the face Mob 0 had before. The block in video 3 was the lure that Mob 0 used to kill them, just like how the block from video 7 was Building Up's face. The block from video 3 was Snapshot's face. Mob 0 is using the player's faces to lure them to their own death, where it kills them and takes the very thing that got them killed as a disguise to repeat the process with a new victim. Mob 0 killed Snapshot Minecraft, hijacked the channel and deleted every video. Somehow, Building Up's videos ended up on the channel only for him to meet the same fate as Snapshot Minecraft. In the final video, there's some hidden Morse code in the top as well, which translates to QA2JHNZ. However, I have no clue what this could be for. It's too short to be a YouTube link, and there's no other information anywhere to use to make it longer. However, for now, I feel like this story has come to a close. We know what happened to both Snapshot Minecraft and Building Up, and we know what Mob Zero is. A strange, twisted, corrupted entity, infecting the worlds of players, toying with them by glitching mobs, sounds, and blocks, only to kill them in cold blood, stealing their identities in the most gruesome way possible, only to repeat the cycle again. So, keep an eye on your
Pete.
Be wary of cowards, or you might be the next to be gone.